MIDDLEKAUFF! Hey, hey! Hey, welcome to another Haberman and MIDDLEKAUFF podcast. I'm Guy Haberman. With me is John MIDDLEKAUFF. We are streaming on YouTube where you can subscribe, like the video, send it to your haters, send it to your lovers, and also check out the podcast down in the description below.
Like, listen to the tunes.
We just got done recording a mailbag for probably weekend or early next week, and we had some really good questions in it. And we thought, why don't we just throw out another pod? We're on a roll. We're on a heater right now. We're on a hot streak. We're like Rory in the first round of the Open Championship. How about Rory didn't get? Did you see the coverage today? It was like Rory, and then some bad luck when he broke his ankle, leading up to the build-up to what would have been his defense of the Open Championship. And Chambly, or one of the other guys, this is like 2 days ago, was like, I don't think it was bad luck. He was playing rugby with his friends. Like, that's his fault. It's not bad luck.
Yeah. Yeah, you probably, it's like how pro sports, basketball, football teams, like in their contract, you're not allowed to ski and do certain things. Like, when you're playing and just rattling off majors left and right, playing rugby, probably not the best idea, like Dustin Johnson, doing weird orgies with friends and then randomly falling down the stairs questionably when you were the heavy favorite to win the Masters 3 years ago. A little weird, People, to me, bad luck. I don't even know. It's still a little weird. They've scrubbed all the evidence of the Tiger crash, but that's something a little bit probably shouldn't have been going that fast. But as LA people said, that's a scary place. People get going fast. It's a hard turn wherever that area.
Probably 3 days ago on YouTube, I saw this video that was Tiger Woods tips from the pros, and it was Tiger playing golf with David Spade.
He did that 2 days before. The day before.
The thing comes up on the screen. This was shot the day before Tiger was in a car accident. Tiger Woods and his people have graciously allowed us to air it. And it's Tiger out there with David Spade.
Was that when he's in like that red and black TW cart? Did you watch any of it?
Yeah. Did I watch it?
I watched
Spade handicap. Fantastic. And Spade has like some neck and back problems. Clearly him and Tiger kind of connected on that because Spade tees a ball up and he like has to get down on his hands and knees just to tee it up. He's like, I got a bad neck. Tiger's like, I feel you. Spade drives it like 175. Tiger's like, that's perfect, right in the middle. Actually ended up with a par.
I watched the day before that because he stayed after Riv to shoot with David Spade and Dwayne Wade.
Oh, yeah.
Dwayne's pretty good.
I think they're two individual. Okay, I got it now.
Honestly, might have been the same day. One might have been in the morning, one might have been in the afternoon.
Right.
Because same thing came up on the screen. Said, he did this before. He gave our permission to do it. Dwayne, they're also talking basketball, and they get in like Steph Curry debates, and then they're eating like hot dogs. And like after 9, sitting there just bullshitting. I mean, they're at some sweet course. And Dwayne goes, talking about some of his injuries, like, Tiger, my knee, it hurt so bad last year, I couldn't even walk down the stairs. And then it pans to Tiger, and he just goes, yeah, been there, bro. Like, dead serious. Like, he just talks, like, all these injuries that Dwayne was talking about, he has the same ones. Yet one guy plays NBA. So after watching that, I went to YouTube to watch peak Dwayne Wade highlights. He's just flying, dunking on people, hitting the ground. I mean, he's just one of the more fearless players in like NBA history, and him and Tiger have the same injuries. Fucked up knees and backs and elbows, and they could relate over it. One guy tried to dunk over everyone. The other guy swung a golf club.
So violently, though. When you see some of these clips, like I've been watching this week of the Open of old Tiger clips, and he is just killing the ball.
Killing it. He was struggling today.
He won 414, though. 414 yards. Got some run.
I think Bryson hit did you tell me a 6-iron, 350 yards or something?
311. That was in a practice round. Did he do something like that today?
He was pretty good. I mean, he was. Keep an eye on the big fella from Clovis, California.
You got him top 10, right?
I took $100. I put 70 on him to top 5 that pays like over $1,000. I put 30 on him to win. Guy, it was 100-1. I was just like, do I think he's going to win? I don't know. But this is last year he was like 18-1 every week.
I remember that.
I don't think he still tries really hard. All these people mailing in for LIV, like there were clips at the last LIV event of like, it's LIV and he got paid, but same old Bryson. It was him hitting balls after he played. Like he ain't mailing in his career.
No.
People think DJ was mailing his career. He shot 400 a day.
He just plays well relaxed.
He does.
Noah on the stream says, got to give it to him. Even when they're out of actual things to talk about, they always find rando topics pretty seamlessly. I actually have a couple actual. I mean, you're telling me, John, that Noah, you're telling me that this is not a real topic? In the Washington Post, in a feature on newsbreaker, Adam Schefter, who's been on this show once or twice.
Once for sure.
This is what was written. Schefter spent $16,000 one year on chocolate, sending it to sources and coworkers and others. Quote, I have relationships with people. It's not all transactional, said Schefter. The gifts he added are a business expense that he writes off on his taxes.
Sherry's Berry still owes us like $3,500.
Sherry's Berries, they were connected to a flower shop, right? What was their Pro Flower?
Sherry's Berries went under, and they 1-800-Flowers bought all their assets, but didn't buy their debt, and we were part of the debt.
Sorry, Pro Flowers. We would happily take you on. 1-800-Flowers, we don't want to hear from you.
No, screw you. Unless,
for the right number.
Mother's Day, we're in.
Yeah. Halloween flowers.
Here is my ultimate take. I saw a lot of big J's. Florio and Schefter hate each other. Some inside scoop. They don't like each other. Florio did a breakdown, like an 8-part breakdown of the article. Like all the main points of like, it was supposed to be a puff piece, things that were said. It was an easy way for me to take in the article, knowing he has a bias, but get the main points. But I had seen that, but there were some other things in there about just, again, different probably media people really enjoy. I don't know, the casual fan gives a shit. I think some journos were offended, might have been the wrong word, but kind of looked down upon this, where I said, like, how do you think business is done? Like he's
looked down upon what?
Like getting presents for people that he's in doing journalism with.
Yeah.
I think like the athletic crew was like, that's not how you do this. That's not how we do it. It's like, well, yeah, I make $10 million a year and everyone gives me their information. So yeah, I take care of them. As people that sent wine to the 49ers, I mean,
we also don't pretend to be journalists.
No, but I think a lot of people that claim to be journalists, are they really in modern day? I think that,
I don't know, but for the ones that really are, like I defend those people.
How many of those are left?
I don't know.
I think it's a smaller percentage.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
would you consider Schefter one?
Again, I think it's hard to define anybody in anything. I would say yes, but I would say that, there used to be a lot of, like, if you worked for a newspaper back in the heyday, there were rules about it. You couldn't accept anything of value, depending on your newspaper might have different rules, but you can't accept a gift worth more than $10. Like I can't accept a dinner. I got to pay for it myself, that kind of thing. And of course, rules get broken all the time, but the news breaking world is a whole other thing. Like really the race to break. It's like him versus Rap Sheet, basically, right? In the NFL. Would you say that's the group?
Yeah. Because I'd say
like other guys break stories, but it feels like that's because one of the things in the story was one of the bosses at ESPN proclaimed Schefter the head-to-head breaking news champion over Rap Sheet, and Rap Sheet said, well, actually, you got one detail wrong. I demand a recount. Like, I actually broke that story. Schefter doesn't get that point.
Yeah. I do wonder, a guy that broke news like in the 70s, 80s, or 90s, like through a newspaper, like you just pick up the, LA Times. So-and-so, the Lakers traded so-and-so in 1992. But he also probably wrote columns. He did a lot of other things. And he was just one of the 5 guys that had sweet information. He got the story and it broke on the newspaper. I think nowadays, like you said, the newsbreakers have become such a big industry that Schefter's job, I mean, his main job, 90% of it is to break news. Just like Rap Sheet is to break news, Woj to break news. Like that's how they feed their family, by breaking news. Everything else, they really don't need them to do anything else, even though they do, right? They do TV hits, they talk about football, they do other shit or basketball. They are paid to break news.
I also think when you're a newsbreaker, you should have access to information that you're not able to share, so you can give context to other things, right? Like keep an eye on XYZ.
Windhorse is a good example. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, why would they do that? But there's two types of breaking news also. There is the kind that the GM just gives you and, hey, you'll be the first to know, or the agent, whatever. And then there's breaking news. I think the different kind is the kind that nobody wants out, but you have dug the story out. Maybe somebody wants it out, but not the people involved, right?
Yeah.
That's something different. Like that's different than with the 7th pick, so-and-so is getting drafted.
100%. The one thing, I've never met Woj, but it's clear, and obviously I know this for a fact with Adam, is a lot of, I would say, none of the elite newsbreakers, they get a lot of their information from the agents. So it's all player-driven kind of.
Right.
Where I would say that Adam and Woj, I mean, if you combined every GM and every head coach in the NBA and the NFL, I don't know how they all don't. Woj doesn't have every single one, and Adam doesn't have every single one. And he consistently like has fantastic relationships with like 80% of them. Like I'm talking, some of these go back 20 years,
it's
but
probably
even the newer
bad for
ones,
your career not to have a good relationship with them.
Yeah. And that's why Adam, it never felt like a guy that was trying to like execute people through the media, where Woj had a career where you had to be careful. Remember, he'd eviscerate humans,
which I like that. Like I think you need some of that.
I miss that. That's where I'm saying journalism. Like, remember his journalism when he would like attack people with like in-depth sources?
Yeah.
When does that shit really ever happen anymore? The Athletic does it every once in a while.
Yeah, that's the best stuff.
But it's few and far between.
Out there that is coming out anyway is different than that. Telling a story that people don't want told.
That's when I read the Baker Mayfield article about him being mad at Stefanski, about those guys being mad at him. It just the Halo thing. Like those are the nuggets. Again, I probably read less true sports articles than I ever have, but I don't feel those exist as much anymore.
Yeah, I mean maybe those people are saying those things on podcasts, and it's harder to aggregate that than it's harder to hear all the podcasts.
Maybe the written word is just, yeah, it just happens on podcasts.
I saw, speaking of the written word, so I saw aggregated, honestly, a story that a guy named Barry Jackson, the Miami Herald, wrote, because it's leaked out or it's been reported already. I don't remember which. Sean Payton's going to Fox. Actually, Sean has changed his Twitter header to the Fox Sports logo. So Sean Payton's going to Fox for the NFL season this year.
Calling games or
I think
studio?
It might be studio. I'm not positive on that, though. I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I'd love from I mean, either one. I'd love to see him on a game because I'd love to hear Sean Payton for 3 hours. But
doesn't feel like he's doing games though. I'm with you.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he is. I agree. But so this Barry Jackson reported that Sean Payton's next job, whenever it comes, and it kind of feels like it's in a year or two, it's going to have 2 requirements.
USC.
It's going to have to be a warm weather place, and he's going to have complete personnel control. So I came up with a list that I will now run by you.
Minnesota.
Of 6 places that I think could fit this bill. One of which I've already crossed off for myself. Miami, Dallas, Atlanta, Carolina, Arizona. The Chargers are the 6 that I already crossed off because one thing we know about Sean Payton is he is
expensive.
And one thing we know about the Chargers is they are
cheap.
All right. So not a match. You agree with crossing the Chargers off?
I would cross them off.
So let's go, by the way, coming into year 10, he's hired. He's on his 3rd coach.
I do think, though, if you were Sean Payton, of all the ones you just listed, they would be the one I would be all over. If you could I would be willing to meet you a little bit in the middle, knowing how rich. When he left, it was like, he's leaving $15 million on the table. So you just go, well, he's been making $15 million for a while. Like, Sean Payton's not going to need the money of his next employer, though that's not how humans think. But Herbert is dramatically more interesting than everyone you just listed combined.
How much less money would you take to coach Justin Herbert and the Chargers?
I mean, a couple $1 million
If you're as
for
rich
sure.
as Sean Payton.
Yeah, I mean the
A
taxes
lot,
too.
I would say a lot less money.
Yeah, you could win another Super Bowl.
There's also the X factor to Sean Payton leave and go to TV, whatever. But I'm going to leave them out of it. So, okay, the Chargers should be on the list for a certain price. And the beauty of Payton is he's a GM and a head coach in one. So I guess you can save a few bucks there. Miami, Dallas,
in theory,
Atlanta.
but I could also see him going like he'd want a GM, right, to do some of the dirty work.
His guy. I know that's true. You don't actually save money. Miami, Dallas, Atlanta, Carolina, Arizona. What do you think of that group?
I would say Carolina, no chance. They stink.
Scott Fitter's in year 2. They're the GM. But the thing that makes them an X factor is their owner, it feels like, would do whatever it took. If he could just get me in the room with Sean Payton, I'll pay you whatever it takes.
Why would a guy like Sean Payton go somewhere
We'll get you Jimmy Garoppolo?
No quarterback.
Yeah.
To me, Carolina and Atlanta, both places with the owner with huge cash, they have no quarterback.
Arizona Cardinals. It would take them parting with Steve Keim, and also they're not known as they're not known as an organization that goes and breaks the bank for personnel.
They did just extend those guys. So, I mean, it does feel that even if it gets weird, they got a couple years.
Dallas and Miami.
I would say both guys are Mike McCarthy way more than McDaniel. Again, like Sean Payton would have to want to go there. They don't have a quarterback. Does he want to coach Brady for a year and then get a new guy? I think Dallas is going to be. I think we are heavily talking about this by like October 1st.
For the Cowboys. He's been there, knows Jerry. Their GM is Steven. I don't know.
Yeah, Jerry, Steven, Will McVay, combination. I would imagine in Dallas radio and just the Dallas world and let's just start Dallas podcast. I need to change my vernacular. Unless they are just humming, it is a constant conversation in Cowboy land. What do we have to do to get Sean Payton? Because it's been, what do we have to do to get Lincoln Riley for years? Now he's off the table. Mike McCarthy, I would imagine to a lot of Cowboy fans, is already dead to a lot of people. Like, I can't take this guy seriously.
Yeah.
Guy, they just lost a home game. They got killed in the playoffs.
It got nothing.
They were down 23-7.
It's hard to be in this spot where nothing you do in the regular season matters. Nothing they do this regular season is going to matter.
Well, they just had a 12-win team, and it was like they got smoked.
And one of the best offenses in the league, or maybe the best offense in the league.
Smoked. If it wasn't for a Jimmy pick six, they'd lose that game by 20 points. And the Niners weren't exactly the 07 Patriots on offense. Remember that first drive by Kyle? He just went right down. You're like, oh, are the Cowboys, do they know what's coming here?
It was on TV the other day. I mean, maybe 3 weeks ago or something. I watched some of that game.
How did it get so weird at the end? Because I just remember thinking, like, are the Niners going to lose this game? They shouldn't have been in that position. But
it's just the nature of the thing, man.
Jimmy's pick six gave them life.
Yeah.
Niners, I just remember early on shoving them around. You're like, God, the Cowboys are not ready for this fight. Remember Randy Gregory like jumping off sides like every other play?
Kind of saved them. One of the things that helped save them in the end.
They had like 18 penalties.
What a mess. It'd be good. Honestly, it'd be good for Kellen Moore's career for Sean Payton to become the coach of the Cowboys.
To leave?
No, and then Kellen stay there as Sean Payton's OC.
You don't think Sean Payton want to call plays?
Oh, he would. But I think it'd be good for Kellen. Now, maybe by that time, it'd actually be fine. Kellen would have a good.
Is Kellen one of those guys like he's going to have a 37-year-old Dallas Cowboy career?
He'll finally get the job.
You can actually stay longer if you never become the head coach. Like ultimately,
Absolutely.
once Jason Garrett became, his clock started. Like he didn't have a 20-year run. Yeah, just
Chase Daniel, like Chase, for $2 million less, you can come here and be the starter. Chase is like, I think I'll make $4 million a year for the next 10 years. Thank you.
It's like, hey, Kellen and Josh, they're paying you $3-4 million to not ever really take the major heat. You get $4 million a year, and you're not even the decision maker.
It's actually the great thing about calling plays for an offensive head coach is in the end, the offensive head coach will get blamed for any bad decisions on offense.
Yeah, why didn't you overrule them? Because I empower my guys.
Yeah, I don't have full control of the offense. We do. Obviously Mike has put this thing together, and we like to, do it within the spirit of what he would do. So
yeah. He has some
Yeah,
philosophies that.
I mean, we're all on board. We all believe in it. You know.
Yeah. Just ask Jerry.
Whatever Jerry says, we'll check with Jerry's post-game press conference.
The problem with the Cowboys is every year their owner like claims like this is a Super Bowl team. He's like, yeah, this is the talented team we've had in 25 years. He says that every single year for like decades.
Big speak it into existence guy.
But it never comes into existence. If I was a Cowboy fan, the one thing I would say to everybody, because it would probably get a little old, like, our team's worth a lot. Like, it's kind of what you have. We rate really high on TV. Like, ultimately, what does that really do to you? It's cool to, like, know you have a lot of fans and know there's a lot of you, but ultimately it sucks never, like, winning playoff games. At least your owner, like, just constantly keeps you in the mix, like, with his quotes. Like, he's saying shit. It's like, well, we got Jerry. Which
makes us relevant.
If you've seen Jerry lately, like, he has dramatically aged. How much longer you got, Jerry?
How old is he? 89, something like that?
No, I think he's like
86.
No, I don't even know if he's 80 actually. 79.
I guess 89 is pretty. I mean,
89 is old. He turns 80 in October.
Okay, that's all right.
Sorry, it feels like there's a big difference between 79 and 89. There's a big gap because you age hard in your 80s. It feels like, doesn't it?
89 is almost 90.
89 is old. And 90 is a long life. I mean, that's just almost a century of living. When you're like 80, because sometimes I think, like, do I vividly remember the moment at like 16 when sometimes things come up? Can you imagine being like 80 and thinking like about things that happened when you're like 22? How long ago that was? Like, it's like, does Jerry vividly remember some things that happened when he was at Arkansas in the 60s? You know, it's like, it's 2022. Like, he's like, yeah, I remember eating that steak sandwich after we got that big win. Like, how do your memories, is there a cutoff? How does that work? Maybe you need to write some things down.
You remember, think about, there's stuff that you did 15 years ago you remember, and stuff you did a week ago you don't.
I know, but I'm just saying, it's just
that smell reminds me of Ma's cooking.
You probably just lose some things that you would not want to lose.
Yeah.
Just a lot of
One
stuff.
of the guys, somebody on TV watching golf today, they were talking about the Champions Dinner, and they're like, it's just so special. Every year you go, and every year, not every year, but they were like, 5 years go by, and some of the people who were there 5 years ago aren't there anymore. It's like, God damn. You have that photo. When you have that photo every year, and like people, you add somebody every year, in theory, unless it's a repeat winner, but you lose people probably faster than you. At some point, you start losing people pretty quickly.
Well, I saw they were interviewing Lee Trevino, and he's like, what's funny is unless I come here on vacation with my wife, the Open's not going to be here for another 5 years, and I'm 82.
Wow.
So there's
pretty good for 82.
He looks fantastic for 82. And he was like, let's just be real. There's probably a good chance I'm not going to be here. And you start thinking like, it's kind of, you just start acknowledging certain things like time's not totally on your side, right? A lot of people die in their 70s that are healthy older people, let alone like, am I just living till 88? Like, do I have 5 years left? Do I have 4? I mean, shit, I have some of those thoughts. Like you start doing some math, you're like, God, I'm already 37.
Would you want to know?
No.
I wouldn't either.
I'm not a big, like, surprise present guy. But I mean, there are some things that you would like to, like, there probably are some questions you'd want to know. That is not one.
Eric on the stream says, an old memory is like a ghost town that the highway just doesn't go to anymore. It's still there. You just can't get to it so easily.
Where one thing, here's what I would say, the memory, I would want to know if it's like you die by getting eaten by an alligator or something. Like you're on a safari, you fall off and the tiger eats you.
Not
like if you just like
safari.
Heart attack, car accident, things that like I wouldn't, like you drowned when you attempt to surf when you're 58 to try to be cool.
No.
That'd be a no-go for me.
What if it's like you find out you're going to get eaten by an alligator on a safari, and so you dedicate your life to not going, you just don't leave the house, but fate still has determined that an alligator eats you? So somehow an alligator has to get into your house and end it.
Well,
but
Guy,
you don't live in Florida.
Well, what if one day you did and you just stop? You forget about it.
You forget.
I watched the video on YouTube of the 10 most gruesome alligator human killings, and in Australia, and one of them was from like the 40s, and it was this guy, because they're the outback, right? So some of these guys live close to some of these rivers and the streams, kind of indigenous. Now this guy was a farmer. And one day he farms all day and he's just exhausted, and he gets almost back to his house and he just like takes in the sun, and he was like, I'm just going to sit down and take a nap. And his wife and kid are inside.
Oh,
he wakes up, opens his eyes to the alligator biting down on his leg. He starts screaming as the alligator starts taking him back to the river. His wife comes out. This is in the 40s, so they don't even have like, it's not like they got guns or anything. She's hitting him with like a, something, a plow. It's not working, and the alligator continues to drag him in, and that's all he's at. He was taking a nap on his grass. Alligator got him dead.
wow.
That's
no one ever said he went peacefully in his sleep.
The other thing you learn in the alligator videos, because they don't chew, right? They just chomp.
Mm.
To kill you, they take you down to drown you.
Ah.
So even if you ever watch the videos that pop up sometimes, I'm sure on the algorithm, because I end up on alligators killing like zebras. When they grab the zebra, they take it out to the deeper water and they take her under, and then they can't.
Gotcha.
Move. And then they come up and they can just chomp away
without fight, without resistance.
They know what you don't want to get kicked or anything. What's the point?
Pedro on the stream says Guy needs to catch some sun ASAP. I was saying this to John before we started. I am pale and John is tan, but I'm not as white as, I don't know. I need a lighting guy. I am not as pale as, I got a light on me. I am not as pale as I look in this video. I'm pale. I'm not saying I'm not pale, but maybe because I'm wearing black. I'm not this. I don't know what, maybe the wall's white. Or maybe I just need to come to terms with reality. I don't know.
You look like a ghost. You are headed down to Southern California this weekend. I would just make an active effort. Like Rory in the Ryder Cup, he doesn't wear a hat. Just anytime you're out in the sun, just go hatless.
Actually, out of respect, I'm playing the Camp Pendleton Marine Golf Course on Saturday.
Tell the boys I say hi.
Yep. Shout out to Mike Cullen, who's taking me out. And,
to me, the move might be hatless.
I did think about that. Like, if I go in the clubhouse, I probably have to take my hat off.
Oh, a lot of respect.
Like, I'm going to end up in a foursome with 3 Marines that served, and then be like, "How about you?" And I'm like, "Well."
I did get held over in Israel.
I was in the Air Force. They tried to make me serve when I was in Israel, and I said no.
You should ask to just, and this would be good content, throw it up on the YouTube page. Just like 20 minutes, put you through something out there, and just have them film it. One of those where you're carrying the boat with like 6 other people. They throw you in the water. Just say, I just need like 20 minutes of it.
Just dump me in the deep end to see if I can get out.
Yeah, see if this goes viral on YouTube.
So I wonder, they should have that on the golf course. The Marine golf course should have some obstacles, that Marines, like you have to crawl under some barbed wire on like the 7th green.
Oh, is that the course where Tiger took all the Marines and didn't pay for their cheeseburgers?
I don't know. I'll ask.
Remember that? They took like 10 of them out, and then the tab came and he just threw down $20.
That was that was in the Tiger book, right? Was that in the Armin Katayan book?
It was either in the book or it was in like an in-depth Wright Thompson piece on him. Might have been the book. Oh, yeah, it was in the book because it was when he was training. And they all kind of looked around, and he just throws like $20 for cheeseburgers and Diet Cokes.
Alibi says, alligators can't see the color white. You're safe.
You follow the Python guy on Instagram? It's always catching pythons in Florida. I don't know. It's this guy is just always catching pythons in the Everglades. It's just kind of a thankless job. Very difficult to get bit a lot, but he's fearless. Because they're invasive species and they kind of mess up the ecosystem. There's just too many of them, I guess. It throws off the natural ecosystem of the animals there. Yeah, they breed really fast, and it's like spiders in your house. They just grow exponentially the moment you even blink. It's like they're everywhere. Ants, it feels like they're like that. You see one ant, there's about 1 million more coming.
Mm-hmm. What else you got?
Not much. I do think this is good. Yeah, this is before. I think we would have a pretty cool storyline if some of the LIV guys. I think it would add a lot because Tiger's done. Add a lot of juice if it was like Rory, like Scotty Scheffler versus like Bryson, Westwood, and D. Like I think that would be just a cool like.
Be like Ryder Cup.
Yeah, we'll just have.
Well, good would be like JT because JT is because of some of the stuff he said.
They need to get. He needs the big day tomorrow. Ian Poulter got booed today on the first day.
Like he's ready to watch some Netflix for 8 hours. But
what do you think about a lot of the outfits of the hoodies? There are a lot of hoodies out there.
Yeah, hoodies don't bother me. I mean, none of it bothers me. I'm not offended or anything.
No,
like
I know it judges. It looks pretty casual. I think. Yeah,
some of the guys have like a collar. The one guy who was wearing white, who I think was the leader, had like a collared shirt under the hoodie. Whereas Phil was still in a t-shirt, I think, under the hoodie.
Do you know what Phil did, guy? The patented fat guy. You're a lazy guy. I don't want to dress up, but I can still look nice. Nice pullover, but like a shirt like a Buck Mason on. So you just see that. And it's a classic, like you're going to the office move. They can't really tell. You zip it up. You just nice pair of pants. You're like, the guy looks good. Phil was unzipped. It's like, is Phil just wearing a black t-shirt from Buck Mason? Is what it looked like.
I saw that.
I thought that was a little. It feels like he's a little lost. You know, there's this viral video that goes around sometimes on Instagram of when Phil and Tiger were holding court for the first ever match when they were playing for $10 million. And it was looking back. I mean, it was pretty outrageous. There's two guys playing for $10 million, and no one even cares. It's kind of cool to see him going at. And Phil just kind of owned the press conference. Just huge personality. He kind of felt like a Sean McVay or something. He just never shut up, and Tiger just kind of kept shaking his head. The Phil that's now is like a neutered, weird guy. It'd be like if Peyton Manning all of a sudden just wouldn't talk. It'd be like, what's up? I want to hear what's Peyton. He's a bullshitter.
You know, you sent me the clip of Phil kind of snapping after the first round because somebody asked him about the champions dinner, and he said he's happier than he's ever been. I don't like Phil. The truth will set you free. Just say, this has been harder than I thought it would. I don't regret going to LIV. Like we're trying to start something, and I want to be a part of that and get extremely rich. And I hope in 10 years, LIV and the PGA Tour can coexist. But honestly, I didn't expect it to be this difficult, to be this level of persona non grata. Now, part of it is it's not just that he went to LIV. It's some of the stuff that he said leading up to it. And, you know, I think he's tried to take some of that stuff back. But I think he would actually become it'd make him, I feel kind of bad for him because he's miserable right now. He looks miserable. This was his kingdom. This was where think about, what was it, a year and a half ago? He was walking up the 18 at Muscle Shores or wherever the hell that.
Yeah, I bet that was 14 months ago.
I mean, he was the king.
He had one of the greatest moments in the history of the sport.
For a guy like him who loves the attention, which is fine. Like, he's great for golf. He loves holding court.
But he's good at it too, you know?
Exactly. And it's got to suck. And if I were, I'd be like, Phil, just tell people, yeah, this sucked. I didn't think it would be like this. And this sucks. And I hope it gets better. I think everybody can win. I'm not giving up on LIV. I'm not saying that, but man, this has been harder than I thought it would be. I didn't expect to be an outcast.
Yeah, to me, I actually think if you and I were running this PR, that mindset would be like, hey, Phil, you want to shift it? I don't know, self-pity, but
don't say I'm not the victim, but
just kind of embrace of like, yeah, when I saw the picture the next day, obviously I didn't show up because I didn't want to be create a bunch of weirdness on a fantastic night. But seeing the picture with Jack freaking Nicklaus, Tom Watson, guys I idolized growing up and wanted to be like and become, and knowing that I should have been in that picture right there with Tiger, my rival, I'm not. I knew I wasn't welcome there. Not being able to show up beyond sucks. Like, everyone would be like, God, I think people would immediately start kind of feeling bad in the sense of like, he made a decision, it's backfired, but now you almost feel sad because we're all humans. That's the thing with human beings. Is we can hate you a lot, but when something terrible happens, we can become pretty compassionate. And I think he's pretty good at but I feel like he's lost his confidence.
Yeah.
I feel he's lost his confidence and he's terrified to say anything right now. And maybe because the Saudis like, you say the wrong thing, we'll fucking take you out, Phil.
That's the irony. Is part of it, he's in the spot because a quote of his that was like a total Phil off the cuff quote got out. I think without that quote, it wouldn't be quite as bad for him, even though he still is viewed as the ringleader of LIV. Although yesterday I had Golf Channel on Wednesday. They were playing this like 30-minute feature. It was like tips from the pros, basically. It was like Annika Sorenstam. It was clearly old. Greg Norman was in it giving putting tips to who's the guy? Rich Lerner. I was like, did nobody screen this thing? They just putting this on?
I watched the head of the RNA, which is like the European, I don't even know what maybe it's the USGA kind of equivalent. He's also a board member on the official golf world rankings with the guy that runs the European tour and Jay Monahan. And they were kind of asking him, like, could you ever see this transitioning for, because he kind of came out and said, like, I'm not feeling this. I don't think it's good for golf. I agree with everyone else. And these reporters, there were a lot of like European journalists there that like, do you think are you guys colluding together? Like, are all you guys working together to screw LIV? And he was like, well, I think we can independently come up with our own thoughts. And they all just happen to kind of be on the same page on this one. And then they're like, do you have the interest on this? You're part of, you don't want to see them thrive because it's best for you. You're part of like the European tour and the OWGR. And he basically said like, yeah, we're not very worried. We feel pretty good about our stance. Kind of like, I think all these kind of guys are working together. I think LIV is in a little trouble, big picture, if they can't really, if they don't ever get the golf round tour and they can make a bunch of money off and not have the status, it's going to be a major problem for them. They need, like this week, if these guys, as of recording this on Thursday, if they get multiple guys in the mix to win it over the weekend and 3 guys in the top 10, that's a pretty big moment for them, right? But if in 3 years they have no guys in the Open or no guy at the Masters next year, at any moment can just say, you know what, you guys aren't allowed. Like they could do that at the drop of a hat. Now, I don't know if they're going to do that, but they could. And people always said, like, keep an eye on them. They're not into the drama. This year it happened fast. It was a lot going on. You never know. And if Phil keeps being weird, like, do we really need Phil around? No. Tiger comes around, he hangs out, and he's good. I agree. I believe he should be around, but you just never know.
I think the key for LIV is they've got to find a way, and it takes time, to make people feel like they're watching something that matters. Like watching Steph Curry play basketball is a gift, but watching Steph Curry play basketball in the NBA Finals is going to be way better than if you just happen to catch Steph at a pickup game and you're watching Steph play some pickup. Like, oh shit, I just saw Steph play open run at 24-hour fitness. It's incredible. That is incredible. It's a great story. But 13 million people aren't going to watch that.
No. 18 are.
18 total?
Yeah.
Or 18 million. You could convince me the NBA split the Warriors into 2 teams, that those 2 teams playing each other would get better ratings than the Warriors playing. Like you got Durant with Steph against, or like Durant. What would be the best matchup, you think? Durant and Durant and Draymond against Clay and Steph?
An NBA Jam 2-on-2?
Yeah, if you just split, if you had to put KD on one of them and split the Warriors into 2 teams.
I think you just got to go Splash Bros and then he gets Draymond.
Yeah.
But I mean, Kevin Durant's taking every shot for them.
Right. And then he gets like, Kuminga.
Oh, you're doing 5-on-5? You're not going 2-on-2?
Yeah, I'm saying like these are the cores of 2 teams that will become the 2 most watched teams in the NBA. And they're going to be the Golden State Warriors and the Golden State Warriors Gold.
I think Splash Bros by themselves can carry themselves.
Yeah.
I think if you did Draymond and KD, that'd be a lot going on.
Great.
Because Draymond never shuts up. He'll yell at Kevin. Kevin's got issues. They would probably be the
Kevin has his team. Like he's the guy.
Yeah. Because Draymond can't shoot. He could 2012 Summer League, but not now. Did you see the highlights last night from Ohtani pitching?
No. From Wednesday? No.
The Astros, he struck out 12. it just, I mean, his pitching year, I didn't realize this till I saw something on Twitter. Like, his pitching year right now is like elite Garrett Cole type year, elite Clayton Kershaw. Like, he is dominating on the mound. And you can say he's a high-end, all-star level hitter, definitely has the pop. But just as a pitcher, we know how much, when you're one of the best pitchers in the league and young, I mean, he's not old, right? How old's Ohtani? 26?
Yeah.
Like what's Ohtani worth just as a pitcher, every fifth day pitcher who throws 100 nasty shit and can strike out the Astros, who are one of the best teams in the league. A lot of people think they could beat the Yankees. He just fucking mowed them down.
Especially if they got
mowed them down.
I mean, hey, they should make him start the All-Star game.
He makes $5 million a year.
I know. Well, his contract was ridiculous.
$5 million.
This is where somebody should step in. Do you know who's starting the All-Star game for the American League?
No. I saw Dave Roberts was saying that Clayton Kershaw should start because I was listening to like Mad Dog Radio and one of their hosts.
I think
was
Sandy
screaming.
Alcantara or Tony Gonsolin is starting for the NL. I guess we haven't named him yet.
When's the All-Star break? August?
Weekend.
Isn't the All-Star break usually right after the 4th of July? What are we waiting on?
Later this year. Oh, the All-Star starters are set? Maybe COVID, did they push stuff back? I don't know. Maybe did they give extra days off in the schedule this year?
NBA style where you give them like the week?
Do we know the starting pitchers? I'm looking here. I got All-Star game starters. That's cool, though. Yeah. Why would Ohtani? It's Judge, Stanton, and Trout in the outfield for the American League.
A lot of power there.
DH. So DH is Ohtani for the AL. I guess he would then come in and pitch. I'd have him. I don't know who's going to start. I would make it him starting. Oh, Bob Sacamano says All-Star game was late due to the lockout. Forgot about that. The season did start late.
I forgot about the lockout as well.
Delayed
I wonder if his timing on his pitching, like he's not even going to be available. That's why
I wouldn't make him available. Like, it's insane to not. But if he pitched yesterday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, he should be able to pitch an inning on Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever the game is.
If you don't start Ohtani and then immediately shift him to the lineup, you are doing the whole thing a disservice.
I'd have him start
if he's physically able.
Off. Seriously.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Games in LA, it's Dodger Stadium, right? So he would lead off the game as the hitter and then pitch the bottom of the first inning. That should be the plan.
I agree. Won't be.
Anything less is uncivilized. Manfred's on top of it.
Yeah, he's got it.
You know who's really good this year? I'm just looking at Cy Young tracker. Justin Verlander.
Dominating.
He's got a 2 ERA.
Isn't he 43 years old?
Verlander is
got to be 40.
39. Just turned.
What's he on?
Spin rate.
Oh, okay. Spider Tech.
Remember his spin rate? Yeah, his spin rate jumped when he got to the Astros. So did Garrett Cole. That's why Josh Donaldson's always talking shit. Josh Donaldson probably had who was the guy that was on the Astros and came to the A's and blew the cover off of the trash can banging? Although that might have been after.
Not Glasgow.
No, but I think Donaldson was gone by then.
I got to take the L on this. I thought that Altuve was a complete fraud and a fake, but ever since that they've taken the wire off him, he's continued to dominate.
He's still good.
Maybe he's just sweet. Maybe, he's just him and Yogi Berra are the greatest tiny little guys baseball's ever seen.
Yep.
Because I thought for sure, I'm like, oh, this guy's just going to be hit 3 home runs and be awful. No, he just dominates. He's an all-star starter as well, I think. I think the Astros have a couple. Is their catcher like dominant? The Astros have another player who's dominant.
Kyle Tucker's a reserve. Yordan Alvarez a reserve.
I think that's the guy who might win the MVP, but he couldn't start because Aaron Judge and Stanton are in his spots, and they get so many votes because of Yankee fans. So they didn't have a place to put him.
I'm fine starting those two guys in the All-Star game in the interest of the game.
Same. I agree. Who would you have throw out first pitch, like McVay?
LA, God, you got a lot of options. LeBron? No.
Leo?
Leo and Brad Pitt. I mean, Koufax maybe. Who really will? Mary Hart.
Kirk Gibson.
Gibson. That'd be a good one.
Eckersley. Too close to home.
No. Vin Scully, if he could do it.
He's still alive?
Yep. He tweets.
Piazza. I saw Piazza one time at whatever the big mall is in Philly. We were just sitting down at the food court, and he was there. Like, it must have been like a 6-7-year-old daughter. We were pretty close to each. It was clearly him.
How big?
Even not small.
Yeah,
bigger than you think.
Remember when he was
Great
a Marlin for 11 days? I remember
Great
reading
hair.
about that in Sports Illustrated.
Remember when those trades would happen, and just the sweetest players our entire life would always get traded at the traded deadline?
Feels like him getting traded twice in 2 weeks was one of the craziest of our childhoods, like big player trades.
Well, that would never happen now. The Dodgers would just pay him, right? Wouldn't that be the thing?
Yeah, but wasn't part of the story like they didn't really want him anymore? Wasn't that part of the deal?
Was he douchey?
Maybe.
Where'd he go after the Marlins? The Mets?
Yeah, they traded him to the Mets, and he hit the home run in the first game after 9/11.
Oh, yeah. They helped the Mets go to the World Series, right? The Mets go to the World Series?
Yeah.
Was there a Mets-Yankees World Series?
There was Subway Series. 01, 02, 03, somewhere in there.
I wouldn't mind that again.
Remember Roger Clemens threw the broken bat at him and said he thought it was the ball?
Oh, yeah. And the bat was splintered. It could have
splintered.
It could have gone into his arteries.
And everyone was like, evidence of roid rage. Roger's clearly on steroids.
There were some moments with the Reuters. That one, the A-Rod swinging at the mitt one.
Oh,
Remember that?
I remember someone photoshopped a purse on A-Rod.
Pedro tossing Zimmerman. Was that his name? Zimmer? Who was
Zimmer.
Don Zimmer. Him tossing Zimmer.
Pedro claims someone touched him. He didn't know who was who, and Zimmer loses his balance.
I just remember the little man.
Well, you know what I watched today was Bonds versus Gagne, where Bonds
take him deep,
rushes a foul ball. Gagne just keeps throwing heaters, and Bonds then takes him out to center field.
How much juice was combined in those two guys' bodies?
I mean, maximum allowable amount, not allowable, maximum, as much as your body could take.
Whatever the CCs.
He was throwing 100. Bonds was just turning around. Bonds turned on a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, hit it foul into the water.
What year is this?
I don't know.
Was this a game or an all-star game?
Game.
Kind of remember that. Was this early 2000s or when Barry was a little older?
No, this was this was
05 maybe
70+ home run Barry. Right?
02 maybe.
No, I think a little late.
03. Never Gagne from Canada.
04. Yeah.
04. I hated that guy.
I mean, I'm watching this going cheaters, but goddamn, this was cool.
I know. Who cares? Let him bring the juice back.
All right.
Okay. Good day.
Thanks for hanging, everybody. Anything else we need to say to people? Oh, go check out Indeed.com/ham.
Get yourself a hire. Indeed.com/ham. Go do it.
Appreciate them. All right. Thanks for hanging, everybody. Later.